Have you picked up a bad eating habit, given up exercise, drinking too many glasses of wine every night versus a night out with your loved one once a week or twice a week? Think about what that means to you. You definitely know that it might be something.
Next Level Nation, welcome back to another very special, as always, episode of Next Level University, where we teach you how to level up your life, your love, your health, and your wealth. We will be talking about health today. We are chatting with a wonderful guest. She is a nutritional psychiatrist and a best-selling author, Dr. Uma Naidoo. Uma, what's going on?
Oh, everything is going on. It's great to see you guys.
We are blessed for the opportunity to chat today. I was very deep into your Instagram, looking through your content. You have wonderful, wonderful, valuable content. First question I think we got to put out there. What is a nutritional psychiatrist? Because before researching for you, I had never heard of that. And I'm assuming it's a relatively small niche.
It is a small niche. And thank you for asking that. There are, I've been really almost named as the person trying to bring this forward in the United States. And that is both a burden and a privilege because it is hard work. So thank you for understanding and hopefully we're putting out really great content. Nutritional psychiatry is a more nascent field and it looks at the use of healthy whole foods and nutrients to improve your mental fitness. It doesn't exclude the use of medications or other extremely valuable therapies that individuals are using as well.
So one of the things that, and it's interesting because I think by the time it gets to mainstream, I wonder how long it's been behind the scenes and talked about. But one of the things that has been popular in the last, 5 to 7 years is gut health and brain health.
Yeah.
Can you talk about so what is overall gut health?
Right.
And how does that connect to brain health? And what can people do to improve that whole process?
Okay. The simple answer to how to improve is to clean up our diets a little bit. So think about one habit that you've picked up in the last few years, which you've been challenging on their own, and maybe start there. But we'll go into more of that later. Essentially, the gut-brain connection and the gut microbiome, the science, has really come forward in the last 2 decades. Although Hippocrates talked about this connection eons ago, the reality is the science had to follow. So doctors who studied, more than 15 years ago at medical school were not studying about the gut microbiome as much, if at all. It basically starts with the fact that the gut and the brain start from the exact same cells in the embryo. And they grow apart, form different organs, and then remain connected throughout life by the vagus nerve, the 10th cranial nerve, which I like to call a two-way superhighway, allowing for chemical messaging to be working all the time up and down between these organ systems. And that's where the interaction with food comes in. We often may take a headache pill and we don't think about it, except for wanting our headache to go away. But think about it for a second. We're swallowing a pill, it's going to our gut, we drink a little bit of water, and we hope the headache goes away. How does that pill get to your brain tissue? There's a whole mechanism. In a similar way, the gut microbiome and the gut science essentially has helped us understand that the breakdown products of food are extremely important for our physical health, but also our mental health. Very simply, on a day when you're heading towards a healthy meal, the breakdown products are things like short-chain fatty acids and things that are actually very good for your brain health, simply put. On days that you're kind of going through that fast food lane and having the French fries and the milkshakes, those are actually the breakdown products are more toxic for the gut and for the microbes that reside there, who are there really to help our health. That's it in a nutshell. There are many nuances and many more details we can go into. But that's gut health overall, and we're understanding that it really is almost connected to every organ system in the body, from acne and skin conditions to hormones, vitamin production, immunity, mental health, sleep, circadian rhythm, which is our internal body clock, and more.
So what are some of the ways in which eating toxic foods manifest in someone's lives? So you mentioned headaches. What are some of the other ones that people can look out for and go, you know what, maybe it's my diet that is causing this?
Some of the symptoms I'm seeing a lot of these days are worsening mood. And it's not the only reason, but you can certainly dull your mood by eating poorly. increased anxiety. We are already in anxious times. If we are now consuming unhealthy foods on top of that, it's only worsening and driving anxiety. The other things are brain fog, the ability to just concentrate at work, whether you're working from home or on a hybrid model, and just have that lack of energy, just feeling, blah, not feeling like you want to get up and make things happen. I'm also seeing problems with sleep. People are just not sleeping well, so much so that there's a new term called coronasomnia instead of insomnia. So, it's people are struggling to kind of wind down at the end of the day and really get into relaxing sleep.
Can I go again, Kev?
Of course.
All right. So my favorite question of all time, whenever someone like you comes into my orbit who has dug really, really deep down a particular level of research, rabbit hole, for lack of better phrasing, I always like to ask this one simple question. What would someone like you understand that the common people who haven't dug as deep in this particular area as you, just quite frankly, what's the one misunderstanding? What's the one misbelief underneath that holds all of us, our listeners, our viewers, Kevin and I, what's the one misbelief or misunderstanding, more importantly, that you believe holds all of us back the most based on all the research that you've done in this field?
I'd have to say, and I think that's a great question, I'd have to say that it's our obsession and misdirected belief about weight loss, because the most popular books are always self-help around weight loss. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't be at a healthier weight and try to achieve that, but we're sort of a culture obsessed with diet wars and food dilemmas. So people are always deciding, let's eat this and not that, and let's include this and exclude that. That's really the problem we get into. Eating a healthy diet and eating what your body can tolerate, unless you have an allergy and intolerance, is much more important, because our bodies were designed to pretty much eat most things. And the less we challenge, let's exclude this food group or that, and actually just start to eat whole healthy foods. My expression for this is, eat the orange, skip the store-bought orange juice, which lacks the fiber, has a ton of added sugar, and may not be the best option. Eating the orange gives you everything just in that orange. So I feel like it may seem like an obvious thing, but the truth is that we need to take a little bit of a step back and understand that when we're eating healthier, those pounds are naturally going to drop off, because you're just eating enough fiber, you're eating the right nutrients that your body needs. And frankly, you may be stepping back from some of those habits you might have picked up in the last few years, and that's going to help you too.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was thinking of this when I was researching, Uma. I know that Alan and I were both bodybuilders, and bodybuilding is not necessarily the healthiest thing to do, because you're only eating what's going to make you look good. So, egg whites, oatmeal, and protein. That's pretty much all I was eating for 3 months.
Wondered why you weren't doing so well.
Yeah, no, I wasn't doing so hot.
Looked great though.
Definitely.
Yeah.
What do you come across stuff on social media where you see it and you say, I can't believe that's out there and people are following that? Do you have a lot of that? And you don't have to call anything out specifically, but as a podcaster, I see so many ads about like, hey, we'll do this with your podcast. It's guaranteed, blah, blah, blah. It's all BS. Alan with business. How should they navigate through the landscape of social media? Who do they know how to listen to? Like, who should people listen to? Obviously you, but who else? How do they know?
I think this has become even harder during the pandemic, if you don't mind me saying so, because everyone has been driven to social media as a way to communicate. Not a bad thing, because it's also a way that people can get good information. But one has to vet the information, because even sometimes people with qualifications and education are very directive about the advice they're giving. So it's, Kevin, you've got to stay away from this food group because it's going to kill you. And I think it's about finding people who are offering a more balanced opinion, who have the qualifications behind them, and who are not necessarily saying, eat those Pop-Tarts, because, if you have them once 2 times a month, it's not going to kill you. I'm not saying it's going to kill you, but providing that type of message is not helpful to people, because here's the downside. The things we call comfort foods and treats are actually mistreating our brain, and they are discomfort for our brain. So the sooner we accept that and say, hey, it's okay. I believe in an 80-20 rule, and that's a pillar that I have designed in my work in nutritional psychiatry, which is 80% of the time, let's make a really good effort and let's try for those healthier foods. And 20% of the time, you might take your kids to a birthday party and come across a cupcake. Life happens. It's not about being perfect. It's about doing better than we're doing. And we know from research that 88% of Americans have poor metabolic health. So we may not have metabolic syndrome, we may not have a disease, but something in our metabolism, for the most part, we have at least one factor that's not working correctly. Now, we've heard about type 2 diabetes and things like that. But what can we do? What's the solution? We can actually start to eat healthier. Not perfect, but eat healthier than what you're doing. And it's a continuum of slow and steady changes is the way to do it. So when you're looking at people's Instagram or their feed or what they're putting out, look at who they are, look at whether they are offering, what I call the eat this, not that mentality, because I think that unless you have an allergen intolerance, you can eat small amounts of really good food and balance it up with good sources of food, proper portion control, even a healthy thing like nuts. Nuts are great for your brain, great for your body. I'm not saying eat the 16-ounce container. It's that type of stuff. And I know I'm talking to a bodybuilder, so but you get the nuance of what I'm saying. It's about finding that balance rather than someone who says, yes, eat this, it's what's going to cure you. And it's something to be careful about, because there's a lot of misleading information out there as well.
The problem is that the people who have the lowest awareness can fall for poor advice.
Yes.
And I find that with, like Kevin mentioned, the business coaching out there, Kevin with podcasting, the people with the lowest awareness who want to start a podcast and want to put in a sincere effort to actually succeed in the long run are being sold gimmicks that aren't real and aren't true. So everyone be careful. And on this show, we want to educate everybody so that they can not fall for that stuff.
Right.
My next question is, I'm reading a book right now called Optimizing for Fulfillment. And so I think we can all live a very holistic life, but we all are optimizing for something, whether we know it or not. So when you're eating, Dr. Uma, what is it that you're optimizing for? Is it brain health? Is it weight loss? Is it weight gain? What are you optimizing for when you're eating food?
My focus is on optimizing your food, your nutrition for your brain health, or what I like to call mental fitness. And what I've found through my clinical work and research is that when we do that, the pounds do fall off. Many of my patients actually lose weight as part of the process, but I don't make that the goal and the focus. For one thing, I think our country is obsessed with it, and not in a way that's always healthy. And secondly, because when you eat a healthier diet and you start to rather than give up food groups, but just cut back on the processed, ultra-processed junk foods, fast foods, artificial sweeteners, processed vegetable oils, need I say more, all of those foods we've thought about in terms of weight gain or weight loss, they actually impact on mental well-being. And the research shows that. So I'd rather people start to clean up a little bit what they're doing, and they will find, I promise you, when you add back many more vegetables into your life and you're bringing back fiber to your diet, along with protein and carbs and everything else you need, the healthy fats, people do lose weight. But it's not a sudden weight loss. It's more steady and gradual, but it stays off. And that's the difference. It's a sustainable change.
Hi everyone, my name is Karishma and I completed Next Level University Group Coaching, and it was just such an incredible experience that I know is going to stick with me for the rest of my life. And I just want to share two main reasons with you why I highly recommend that you sign up for it if you're thinking about it. The first would be that the environment within the Next Level Group Coaching sessions is just super safe and super comforting. You will be able to feel like you belong in these sessions, which I just think is definitely the number one reason why I would recommend it for anyone, is I just felt like Kevin and Alan did such an amazing job making everyone feel like they had a place there. The second thing is you will walk out of there with the most incredible tool ever. So I personally think that the peak performance tracker that Kevin and Alan taught us about is the best tool that you could be using if you're someone with goals. I just feel like I wake up every morning excited to accomplish the habits and just be closer and closer each day to achieving my goals. Like I said, if you're thinking about it, don't think anymore, just do it, just sign up, you won't regret it. Thanks for listening.
When you say mental fitness, can you define that for our listeners and viewers? What does mental fitness mean to you?
To me, mental fitness means really living your optimal mental health life, meaning that many individuals have not necessarily met with a therapist or psychiatrist and obtained a diagnosis, but they're just not feeling good in the last few years. I mentioned poor sleep, just feeling low mood, not having that motivation, a term that, was very nicely described as languishing. And just sort of that blah effect, just not having the vibrance that life holds or could hold for you, joylessness. And so mental fitness is the opposite of that. It's really living your best self optimally in terms of your mental well-being. Doesn't mean you have to have a diagnosis or have seen a doctor. Maybe they're just not feeling good or feeling super anxious and stressed because there's so much angst in the pandemic. The vaccine dilemmas, should we wear a mask or not, the news feed about the pandemic, the ongoing new variants that are coming out, keeps people in a state of angst. So all of that I'm not saying it can be cured by food, but food can help, because the moment you start eating healthier, a lot of that starts over time to feel better. And you can almost have a little bit more reserve and resilience to deal with everything else that comes your way.
Dr. Uma, I feel like I have to ask this question. I mean, you can't get through an episode or an interview without asking this. What does your day look like in terms of what do you eat? So what will you eat on an average day?
Now, this makes me want to chuckle, because you asked me about Instagram and people are always putting out these things, and it's like I always think I'm not going to do that, but because it's you, Kevin, I'm gonna share. I'm not a perfect eater. There are days that where I'm going back to podcasts or meetings or online work or in-person work, and it can be super stressful. So my guidance around this is meal preparation. One of the things I've really reinforced in my life is, and I try to share with my patients, is meal prep. So for me, a meal prep day is either Saturday or Sunday. And so I always have leafy greens in my fridge. I always have cut veggies in my fridge. I always have things like sort of some forms of protein, depending on what everyone in my family is eating that day. I happen to be vegetarian. I was raised that way. Have nothing against other food groups. It just was how I came in the world, and that's what I'm used to. I cook anything though. So you'll always get an array of veggies in my fridge, lots of spices, healthy fats, things like avocado around, extra virgin olive oil. So make sure I meal prep my breakfast. One of my favorites is chia pudding. Like 2 simple ingredients. Chia seeds are super rich in protein and fiber and many nutrients. So a great way to start my day. And a small amount is actually very filling. I add in my berries and my nuts with that. So I get those in early in the day, and I start my day with good hydration, mindfulness practice, and I eat something. So I'm not going hungry. And then salad is always on my menu every day. So it's usually as many colors, as many textures, as many greens as I can get in that salad. I also add nut seeds and sources of protein. And dinner, is my canvas. It's kind of like my playtime, because as a chef, I love to cook. So it's what can I put together that night? How am I going to challenge myself? One of my favorite things to do is take a plain old cauliflower steak and flavor it up. So I'll use a recipe for tikka masala, which we would usually use with chicken, but I'll put it on a cauliflower steak and then add lots of veggies and other sources of protein to that.
I forgot to add that in your intro that you're a highly acclaimed chef as well. You're all over. You have all the facets. So I want to make sure I add that.
What was the L
I
word
love
that
food.
you guys? Oh, sorry. Go ahead,
I,
Doctor.
I love food, as you can see.
We do too.
Same.
Big fan.
I just got to start making better decisions. I got to start making better decisions.
We all
When
do. Me too.
when you said the Pop Tart, I thought you were throwing shots at me because I might have had one last night.
Oh, I didn't know that, and nothing. No offense, Pop
I'm
Tart
just
eaters.
teasing.
But it's kind of like an example that popped in my head.
Oh, I'm totally kidding. I'm teasing.
No, Kevin and I have to make better choices.
100%.
Holistic
Me too.
self-improvement is what we're all about. And this
Yeah.
is an area that you and I definitely, we zig and we zag. We're not at 80-20. Let's
No.
just say we're not
No.
at 80-20 and we need to get back to 80-20. What was the L word that you guys were mentioning that I have no clue? What's the word?
Languishing?
Languishing. Yeah. What is that?
Yeah, it's sort of the best way to describe it. It's not really depression. It's not burnout. It's more sort of a lack of joy, a blah feeling, just a feeling of lack of motivation. And it was very nicely described in the New York Times by an article that Adam Grant wrote. And I thought it was so informative for people to understand, because so many people were just feeling that way. And I think what we want to do is move ourselves on this continuum, if we're feeling that way, towards thriving and flourishing, right? So while food is not the only answer, it's one way to start kind of picking ourselves up from that feeling of just, there's little joy left around what we're doing. And I think it's been definitely a difficult many years for us, and we want to come out thriving. And one way to think about that is looking at how we can move towards that 80-20 pattern of choices. And I practice a holistic, integrated, and functional approach to psychiatry. So hydration, exercise, movement, mindfulness, better sleep, having, whether it's yoga, whether it's a meditation practice, whatever it is, it's all part of the picture. It's not just one dimension. Nutrition, I do consider a big pillar of that, a cornerstone, because you can't exercise out of a bad diet, and you can't supplement yourself out of a bad diet. So it starts with a pillar of how we're eating, and you build up all of these other pieces around it that all help. Exercise is huge. I don't need to say that to you guys, but it's huge, because you feel better when you exercise. So that becomes part of the big picture.
Dr. Uma, you'll enjoy this. So I was a fitness coach and a fitness competitor and a fitness model for a long time. And when I was coaching, I was fascinated by how few people were holistic, like you just said. And I had 5 pillars back then. Now I have 7: sleep, hydration, nutrition, training, mobility, and then breath work is number 6.
Yeah.
Are you breathing properly?
Right.
And I had a physical therapist who was teaching me about the diaphragm and that. And then supplementation is number 7.
Mm-hmm.
What I find fascinating, and I think this is the problem, and I would love your take on it, supplementation is the least important, in my opinion. It's still important, but it's number 7. Unfortunately, the industry focuses on that because that's how the industry makes money. Can you talk to us about supplementation? Even in the word, it's a supplement, not like the main thing. Can you talk to us about how the industry is so overly focused on supplementation?
Right. Let's take probiotics and that type of thing, for example, because I have this question come to me all the time. The truth is we can actually improve how we're eating by getting these types of foods through our diet, fermented foods, probiotic rich yogurts and other products, and things like that. I think, I know that there's a place for supplementation. Why do I say that? Because say you happen to be plant-based and you never consume animal products. Well, vitamin B12 may be something you want to talk to your doctor about. Maybe you live in the far Northeast. You might be low on vitamin D. You might need a supplement because you just may not be able to get enough sunshine. You get most of your vitamin D requirement for the day from 10 minutes of sunshine or 10 minutes of daylight. So there is a place for supplementation. A nutritional psychiatry example, saffron, the spice, has a significant amount of evidence for improvement of mood. But the amount that we use in cooking is simply not enough to get that effect. So if you're looking for some natural ways to feel better and you've spoken to your doctor, you might want to consider a saffron supplement where it will be highly concentrated at a higher dose, like was used in the studies. But it is not the only way. And that's why I said you can't out supplement a bad diet. And so it really should be supplemental to everything else, additional and add-on, and not be the core of what we're trying to do. It starts with food. It starts with those healthy habits, building in more exercise, remembering to hydrate throughout the day. Just those simple things that people often overlook, but has changed in so many people's lives. I've had people say, I'm at my computer all day. I forget what time the day ends. I never get up, because in the office I used to go to the water cooler. I'd check in with my friends. I'd get a cup of coffee. I'd be walking around. Now I'm in my room and I don't know what time of day it is. So a lot of that, we have to factor it in. We have to kind of bring back some form of a different normal for ourselves. And one of those things also includes how we're eating, and not leaning on supplements, adding them in when we need them, but not relying on them to be. And as for the industry is whether it's the food industry or whichever aspect it is, people, they're going to go for the dollars. And I'm not against supplements, but I also think we have to balance that in.
It was powerful what you said, that you cannot out supplement a bad diet. It turns out, Dr. Uma, you also cannot out-train a bad diet. I actually have a 4th place trophy to prove that. I stepped on stage and lost because I tried to out-train a bad diet.
I was going to say, on a scale of 1 to 10, how healthy are broccoli Alfredo pizzas holistically? Probably
Chicken
not.
broccoli Alfredo.
Oh, sorry. Probably not very. Dr. Uma, I want to respect your time because I know we're over here. Another tool that is in your belt that I did not intro you, not my strongest introduction today, I apologize. Also a best-selling author. Where can people learn about your book and where can they purchase it?
Thank you. So my book can be found on my website, where you can also subscribe to my newsletter and follow what I'm up to with all the new recent research updates in nutritional psychiatry. That's umanaidoo.md.com. We have links to the book, but you can also support your local bookseller, go to an online store, and follow me on Instagram, which is at DRUMANAIDOO. I'm also fundraising through philanthropy for a new program that I'm developing at the hospital where I work to certify healthcare practitioners, and then build out a consumer-facing program as well to really teach people about nutritional psychiatry and how to practice it. And so if anyone wants to help me out, get in touch with me. I would love that.
Can you send us a link for that? And we can put it we'll put all of that in the show notes below.
I will send a link. I don't have a link for, I don't have a GoFundMe or anything like that.
Okay.
This is more if people really feel strongly and would like to be in touch with me, I can share with them how to,
so we'll make
how to
sure
help us out.
Okay. We'll make sure everything is in the show notes below and they'll be able to reach out to you and contact you that way. Anything
Instagram
in closing,
as
Alan?
well. No, thank you so much for coming. And yeah, I guess the only closing question would be, if someone was going to leave this and implement one thing, what would they do to get started?
I would ask them to ask themselves something I said at the beginning, which is, what aren't you doing so well right now? Have you picked up a bad eating habit, given up exercise, drinking too many glasses of wine every night versus a night out with your loved one once a week or twice a week? Think about what that means to you. You definitely know that it might be something. And start there. Start to walk yourself back from that one habit, whether it's cutting back on the ice cream, exercising more, having one less glass of wine and working yourself back from that. Start there. And, just by doing that, you will start to feel better. And then, you can look into the book to find the things that you can build back, because the way that my eating plans work are all about adding in and not making people feel deprived. So I'm only asking you to start there because there's probably one habit you've picked up which you're not so happy with. Maybe it's about a Pop-Tart, I'm not sure.
I'm gonna have a salad today. I promise, Dr. Uma, I'm gonna have a salad. Everybody follow Dr. Uma. She's doing wonderful things in the world. We are grateful for the time. I'm sorry we took you a couple extra minutes today. Give her a follow on Instagram. Check out the book. And we are grateful you spent the time with us today. Uma, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It was so much fun.
Of course.
Thank you for thank you for joining us.